Hi, GQ. My name is Dominic Sessa, and I'm here to talk about how I prepared to play Anthony Bourdain in the new movie, Tony. So I first heard about Tony, the movie, when I met Matt in New York. I mean, we talked to each other really personally just after meeting for about an hour. And through that, he sort of found an inspiration in this person and for the first time found a way into this character through my background and his background as well. And that's when it felt like, yeah, we could actually make a movie about Anthony Bourdain, you know?
Hello?
Mr. Bourdain, the committee has decided to go with another student for the fellowship.
I had never auditioned for this movie. I mean, as much as Matt feels like he couldn't have made the movie unless he was doing it with me, I, vice versa, feel the same way. I couldn't have done the character justice. I couldn't have really tracked the trajectory that this character goes on without having someone like Matt supporting me through it. So coming off of my first movie, The Holdovers, I think all I wanted to do was make another movie, but sometimes there's a lot of big opportunities thrown your way and things that seem like big projects, and that was all kind of daunting to me, or I didn't understand it, and I didn't understand what I really wanted to make. I just knew that the first movie I did, people seemed to feel something. So my main priority was just getting on as many sets as possible and learning from people that knew a lot more than I did. You know, I don't think I could have felt confident playing this big of a role at that time.
This is your Rubicon. Do not cross the Rubicon.
The biggest thing I learned from Paul Giamatti about going about an acting career was just to do the things that you actually want to do. And Paul is a perfect example of that. The movie him and I did together, he got nominated for an Oscar, winning a bunch of things, and then he told me, like, I'm gonna go do the Star Trek show after this, you know? So like, for him, he's just staying true to what he loves, and it's not about trying to constantly find himself in these award-winning films or whatever it is, and that's never been my focus. I want to do the things that I like the character, I like the people involved, and I have a fun time doing the part and also reading the script, you know?
How did Anthony Bourdain originate in your life? Do you remember the first time you ever even heard of him?
Probably just like walking around the house and my mom had him on TV or something.
Insert joke here.
Pre-YouTube, when I was really young, he was the first person that you could really get a sense of the rest of the world. In 2026, there's thousands of people who live, you know, have their own whole careers based on living some version of Bourdain's life, you know, traveling the world, documenting it, eating crazy food. I think he was kind of the first to start doing that thing, and that's always how I thought of him. But before doing this movie, he didn't live in a significant part of my soul or of the, you know, in the way that I operated in life as he does for millions and millions of people. I don't think I could have really done this movie had that been the case.
It's a coming-of-age story. Excuse me, I need to speak with you.
Didn't you punch a hole in the principal's door?
What was really beautiful about this and Matt and I's relationship with Anthony Bourdain as a person is that we were never trying to create some sort of image that we had in our mind of him or reach some sort of standard. I think we were constantly every day trying to figure out who this person was and what maybe they would have done in this situation and what their feelings about the world are. And if we were coming from a place of already, in our minds, believing or knowing what that is, then we couldn't have focused on the right things, which is being honest and truthful to how this person is receiving their environment and the circumstances that they find themselves in this summer that we've fictionalized, you know? There was no audio recordings, no videos of this person at the time. Like, I had maybe 20 photos that I really kind of referenced, and from like 16 to in his 30s. that was the only way I felt comfortable doing this. I was like, okay, nobody can really tell me I'm wrong for the most part, so I have agency in this. I have a certain level of power, you know, in the decisions I make, and that was freeing. I don't think I would have, especially now, been open to doing like a biopic where I feel like I really have to be that person in a dogmatic sense, you know?
It was 1980. I was 24 years old. But in a lot of ways, my whole life up to that point was leading to this address.
There is a moment in Parts Unknown where he goes to Provincetown, and it's the episode where he's visiting a lot of the places that we filmed in, and he's walking on the beach at the end of the episode, and it's very like overcast day. It's not necessarily like, you know, Cape Cod at its peak. It's cold and windy, and he's kind of looking around, and he asks himself, like, I don't know what I was so angry about at the time. This is paradise. And for me, that was really what I understood about this person at the time, and what it was like being there it was magical. Like, Provincetown is one of the most beautiful places I've ever experienced, and, you know, the people included. And to be so angry and beside yourself in a place like that is, I don't know, that's what it's like being a young person, I think. You're not able to see the bright side of things right in front of you. And I think that's a really strong thing that audiences are confronted with in the movie, is this sort of picturesque, heavenly place that this angry young man is kind of stomping through. The biggest thing was, you know, for us, the things that we tried to fictionalize were kind of iconic parts of him, you know, like things that are pretty instantly recognizable with Bourdain. And like, I don't know, like smoking cigarettes, for example. We very easily could have just started the movie with him having a cigarette in his mouth. That's who Anthony Bourdain is. He smokes cigarettes. But in this movie, it was like, me and Matt decided Leo's going to be the first person to hand him a cigarette. Even though probably in real life he smoked cigarettes way before this time, we wanted to show how the people around him, the mentors, like the people he talks about in Kitchen Confidential, the sous chefs, the line cooks, the way that they live within this person as he continued his life. So having those little details to show, you know, like as he describes in the book, like really how these people live with him, and they're nameless in a lot of his writing. You know, that chef he talks about Bigfoot, who's really the main source of building Antonio's character. As much as that person lives so intently in his mind, and specifically all of these people he worked with have lended towards the kind of icon that people recognize. I think the hair was the biggest thing for me. Our incredible hairdresser, Gordon, he put these extensions in me day one, and they never fell out over a month. And my hair was disgusting, but it was perfect, just right for what I needed to do. But I also kind of, I was eating a lot less. That was something that was familiar to me when I kind of was working on the beaches in the summer. I grew up in Ocean City, and similarly was working during the summers. I worked in a bakery and was drinking a lot, and that was kind of the result of that, was not eating very healthy, not getting a lot of nutrition, and the effect that it had on my body was turning me into basically a skeleton. So I kind of returned to that when filming this, and I noticed when I look back, like I'm much thinner and frail and sort of innocent. There's an element of weakness, you know, that I think was really important to how he existed, especially stacked up against Stavros and Leo and Antonio, are kind of these larger than life, not only emotionally but physically, these presences that are surrounding him. The clothing was really, especially the pants, like, yeah, very 70s, I guess, what I'm wearing, where I didn't feel as confident kind of leading with my chest and my stomach as much, because you're wearing like these cropped shirts and these sort of like cropped pants. So a lot of people were really open to the bulge, you know, with tight pants. So that was something that I was like, you know, just of the time. And it changes how you walk into a room, you know, like just kind of the shape you make. You're trying to hide things almost, but then when I'm wearing this chef's coat for the first time, kind of something I was going off with the photos. Like once he started working in a way more professionally, you see how his body opens up to people and his shoulders open up to the world, and he's receiving a lot more than he's kind of guarding. And yeah, I mean, like the scenes where I'm getting water dumped on me, I'm in my underwear, so pretty vulnerable. Yeah.
Do you have any idea how many times he dumped?
I'm saying like 35 now. It's probably my good guess because they didn't do it in one day like I hoped they would have. It was like we were moving so fast, so anytime we had an extra 20 minutes, it was Dom, underwear, bucket, let's go. as many water takes as we could get. Matt got them. This was certainly an emotional workout in a lot of ways, just because Matt really wanted me to be open and welcome to addressing and bringing forth the sides of myself that I really don't enjoy, you know, and that's this quote that opens the movie is on the poster. Tony describes himself as a thoughtless, narcissistic young guy needing to get his ass kicked. That is so much of my life. And realizing that is important. Even now, I look at myself a year ago, 2 years ago, and there's so much of that is true. Just kind of a young man's instinct to protect their ego, you know, and want to demand respect from people and be respected and be looked at as an adult, you know. And for me, it was that same admission that I had to make to myself. I had to look myself in the mirror and say, okay, these are the times in your life where you were wrong and you were an asshole to people, and this was not about anybody else but yourself and the things that you haven't addressed yet. And this, if anything, was an opportunity for me to, at a really important time in my life, address the sides of myself that are not true or disingenuous or as a facade, you know, and I really stopped acting as much as I have in the past, just in my life. That's what people admire so much about Bourdain, really, is they didn't feel like they were watching someone who was putting something on or acting. He was unapologetically speaking and breathing and living from his own soul. And I think that's what I'm trying to do. So I went to a restaurant called Gertrude's in Brooklyn, and Eli Sussman, he's the head chef and owns the place. He was the guy that took me on like a restaurant tour in New York. He introduced me to a lot of chefs and restaurant owners in the city, and also taught me how to shuck some oysters, which was very kind of him. I didn't learn to appreciate the restaurant industry until, especially in New York City, until making this movie. I mean, these people I met who have worked their whole lives to be able to open their own place and create their own menu. They go into this knowing that even if I have a really successful restaurant, there's probably a low chance that it's going to sustain, you know. And after 10 years having a place in New York with the rents that change and everything like that, it's really, really hard to keep something like that going. So the idea that most of these people are starting this thing, going into it, knowing that they'll likely fail is crazy to me. It absolutely helps you understand like someone like Antonio's character, you know, and what he really cares about. And I think Tony learns that. It's like, this is all he has, you know, but it's so important to him that it has an effect on someone like this young, you know, narcissist, right? Antonio Banderas owns 8 restaurants. I'm bragging for him. I was able to visit one of them, or a couple of them actually, when I visited him in Malaga, and he taught me how to make a paella. But everything else in the movie that you see Antonio cooking and me there, he learned how to make. I mean, he went to one of his restaurants before filming, had a list of all the stuff he had to make, and really prepped for it. When we got on set, the case was that I would go into the kitchen, Matt would just say, all right, Antonio's gonna teach you how to make a lobster thermidor, and I want you to try to learn how to do it, and we're gonna be shooting it. And that was a lot of the kitchen stuff, you know? Like no script, and it's some of my favorite moments in the movie when Antonio is kind of just explaining to me things and telling me like, put that oil in the pan. And it's like the only way they can effectively communicate with each other, you know? And it's really beautiful to me, yeah. I never wanted to look like I was trying to be taller, you know, like standing up straight, because Bourdain was taller than, I mean, he's like 6'4" or something, and I'm like 5'11". So I think standing in that way, it's like I have really tall friends, and they're always kind of, when they're over, you know, like 6'2", and they're getting to that like head hitting the door height, there's a compensation for that, you know? And I think that was just a reaction to knowing that I'm much shorter than the real guy. I met with my dialect coach from college, actually, and we were talking about the idea of like a voice and what it could sound like. And then pretty early on, it was just, it felt ridiculous. You know, I felt like nobody knows what he sounded like then. I'm from New Jersey. I think I talk similarly enough to him. He uses the word extraordinary a lot. Like he'll eat something and say like, oh, this is extraordinary.
Extraordinary.
He'll drop some consonants, like rather than saying interesting, he'll say interesting, and you know, like drop the T on those sorts of words. But I already kind of did that already. So not that we were being too specific about it, but I think, yeah, I didn't want to be sounding like a completely different person. To be completely honest, I was trying to live this summer, not so much thinking I'm Anthony Bourdain, but thinking I'm a 19-year-old boy chasing this girl and working here so I can do it. And believing that was pretty easy for me. I think one thing that he said, and I can't remember where I heard it from, was probably an episode of one of his shows, but he said, the definition of cool is not giving a shit. That is exactly how I feel. I feel like I'm constantly surrounded by people in this work that are perceived as cool, but a lot of them give a shit. And he is a perfect example of, I think, exactly what it means to be cool. Be yourself, surround yourself with the people that you really love and are true friends, not just people that you want to be seen around sort of thing. Keep your history close to you. Your history is important. I think every day he honored his history as a blue collar guy working in a kitchen, someone who struggled, real life struggles. And even when he became this celebrity, that's what he was honoring every single day. And that's what I try to do. I know where I came from. I know who the people are that changed me and made me. So it is my duty to honor that.